welcome to this week's video. Now, I don't know about you, but seasonal depression has been creeping up on me the past few weeks as the days have been getting shorter and colder. For me, it's the shorter days that really get me. Every year, I seem to forget that it's a thing, and I'm surprised again every year when it happens, and I remember why these months are so hard. For everyone else out there who struggles with this time of year, you are not alone, and we will get through this as we always do. So here are a few of the things I do or appreciate during this time of year that bring me some joy and get me through the darker days, quite literally darker. I'm going to start with the most obvious one. We've all heard it, exercise is great for mental health. It can be difficult sometimes though to find the motivation to move your body when it's cold and dark outside, but I promise you it is worth it. It's one of the things that personally really keeps me afloat.
Out of the pool feels so good as always.
When I'm feeling anxious or stressed, there's nothing better than a good workout. It doesn't have to be anything super impressive, and you don't even have to leave your home if you don't want to, but just move your body a bit. You could even have a dance party to some groovy songs. Not gonna lie, this is one of my favourite things to do, and every so often I'll have one and I always feel amazing after it, and it just makes me want to run out into the world and sing and dance my heart out. Exercise makes you feel alive. I know it's really hard sometimes to tell whether your body or mind is too tired for exercise or if on the contrary it just needs it, but you're too stressed to take that leap and convince yourself that you don't actually have time for it. This is something I struggle with too, but I will say I've never felt worse after exercise, so it's worth trying. In a similar vein, yoga and stretching are also a great way to take care of your mind and body. Ideally, I would do a bit more stretching throughout the week, but that doesn't always happen, which is fine, so Sundays are my dedicated yoga and stretch day. I always look forward to my Sunday stretching. It's both great for your mind, it's a form of meditation really, and for your body to give your muscles a good rest and well-deserved stretch. There's so many great yoga poses and stretches that physically relax you and release anxiety, stress, and any weight you may be carrying around with you, and I find it really helps tune into and be more aware of the mind-body connection. Yoga and stretching just feels like giving your soul a big hug to me. Something I've taken up recently has been tracking my mood. I just track whether my day was amazing, good, average, below average, or bad. A lot of the time it ends up being a mix of things because can a day really be constant? But I find it useful to see how I'm doing, and it forces me to reflect at the end of the day how I was that day, how I felt, and acknowledge it all. I also just love using fun colours to make the tracker, which personally makes me very happy. Moving on to some more fun things, I love to cook. I think it's so much fun and there's always new recipes out there you can try, and the best bit is that at the end you have a yummy meal or treat to gobble up. I save a ton of recipes on Instagram, more than I can get around to doing, but I'm slowly working through them, and every so often I will pick one to try out. I've also been trying to cook more seasonally, so using the seasonal vegetables like pumpkins and butternut squash, etc. I'm a huge fan of the winter vegetables and they feel so warm and cozy to me, so I think it's a nice way to make these colder months more appealing. And of course, cooking seasonally is better for the planet. Now, this one is one of my faves because you can have so much fun with this, coming up with cute and different fall wintry outfits. I love to just have a big outfit creation session where I'll take a look at all of the clothes I own and try and find some new combos I've never done. I like to whack up some groovy music whilst I do this, have a bit of a dance party to it, and just hype myself up. Is there anything better to get your mood right up? It's also a great way to remind yourself of the clothes you have that maybe you don't always wear that often, and then you might just find some cool new combos to wear on your next outing, or just on a regular day. Do you really need an excuse to dress cute? Let's move into some smaller joys of life that don't take up so much energy. Because the thing with this time of year is that sometimes it's really difficult to have the energy or motivation to get anything done. Having an outfit party, a cooking sesh, or exercising can seem too daunting at times, and that's okay. The important thing is to show up for yourself as much as you can, be it big or small. A few of the small things that bring me a lot of joy in these months are: 1. Sitting by the radiator. I mean, can you really beat that? It's just so yummy and cozy and warm, a simple remedy to the cold. With the energy crisis and inflation though, this one is becoming more and more rare, but if you have the opportunity, then take it. 2. Making a warm cup of tea. For the first time in my life, I've actually been enjoying some breakfast tea in the morning, which is a big deal for me. I have always loved a nice herbal tea in the evening though. Sometimes I forget that it's a possibility, but it's just such a nice way to relax in the evening and warm yourself up.
Pour l'instant, 2 tirs cadrés au total sur 16. Dans ce match, ça manque de précision chez les uns comme chez les autres.
3. The smell of wood fire. Does anyone else feel the same way about this smell, or is it just me? I just associate it with being in the mountains in a chalet, cozying up to a fire, and just core memories, I guess. And fires themselves are so great. In the same way as the radiator, I love to sit by them to warm up, but it's even better this time because you also get this entrancing, flaming spectacle. Okay, moving on to my next one, which is probably going to sound almost pointless, but I find it does help. Romanticize the cold, the dark, the winter. Light some candles, create some cozy vibes, and just sink into all those cheesy and stereotypical ideas we have around the wintertime. Okay, sometimes I'm really not in the mood to do that, and that's completely fine, but if you're up for it, I think it's a simple way to add a bit of light to the dark, quite literally, lighting candles, some fairy lights, cozying up under a warm blanket, wearing some warm socks, some comfy PJs, without forgetting your favourite teddy bear, of course. This is my official introduction of Pandy to this channel, who has been with me since my first year of life. And cuddle up to a movie or curl up with a nice book. I've been loving putting on some good piano music in the background lately too, just anything you think might bring some good cozy vibes. And of course, with the holidays coming up, you can get into all of that too, but I didn't want to centre this video around that. Quickly reverting back to the more active things, although this may sound counterintuitive, but bear with me, I find cold showers to be a good way to face on the cold months head on. I got this idea from a YouTuber, Jonah Jinton, who lives in the north of Sweden in the middle of the woods, where it gets very dark and very cold, and one of the ways she combats the hardship of the cold is by taking an ice bath, because you're actually confronting the cold head on, and your body has to actively fight against it to keep warm. I find cold showers really make me feel alive, calm my mind and shut out any thoughts I might be having, because all you can do is focus on the cold you're fighting in that moment. It's a pretty simple thing to integrate into your routine. I usually do it at the end of my shower and it's definitely worth it. I think it's also important in these months to have things to look forward to plan little outings, dates with a significant other, friends or yourself, activities. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could literally be that on Tuesday you'll schedule in some time to do a bit of drawing or play some guitar, or it could be having a friend over for a meal, or going out for a meal or some drinks, going to the cinema, visiting a Christmas market or a local market if it's not Christmas time, something to change up the pace and that you genuinely enjoy that hasn't got any strings attached to it. I think it's important to not shut yourself off from the world. As tempting as it can be to hide under your blanket, you have to make yourself say yes to a few social activities. They don't have to be anything crazy or big, and it could literally just be hanging out at yours, but I do think social interaction is key to staying sane. That being said, it's also okay to say no sometimes and recharge, maybe more than you would other times of the year. I know I do.
The star was like, "Good morning." He's like, "What do you mean by that?"
Yes.
And he's like, "What do you mean that it's a good morning to be on that?"
Box is open and reasons are all ring. And finally, just don't be as hard on yourself in these months. It's normal to be less productive in the wintertime. I mean, it is originally meant for hibernation or at least low energy living, and as far as I know, we're still human and not robots yet, so it's normal to get affected by the season change. I was listening to Emma Chamberlain's podcast on seasonal depression, where she was explaining that she sets smaller goals for herself in the wintertime and bigger ones in the summer, which I think is a great mentality. But it's also difficult to implement depending on the sector you work in, or if you're in school where time off is in the summer and hard work tends to have to happen in the colder months. I guess the best we can do is be less hard on ourselves as much as possible and just take extra care of ourselves. I'm hoping as I move out of the strict school schedule that I'll be able to implement a similar mindset, but we'll see. For now, the winter remains a time where I am going to have to be more productive, particularly as that's when PhD application deadlines are, but I'll make more of an active effort to listen to my body and mind. I hope that some of what I've said has been useful, or at least has made you feel less alone. I know a lot of people get hit more by seasonal depression in January, February, which are colder months, but for me, I find the November, December months to be the hardest ones, as that's when the days get shorter and shorter, whereas I find that in January and February, I can see the end of the winter more clearly. The days are getting longer and spring isn't too far off, so I feel more hope in those months. But whenever or however seasonal depression affects you, or even just depression alone, I think a lot of what I've talked about is applicable and can be adapted to different times of year. Let me know if there's any other things you find joy in during this time of year. I'd be interested to hear about them. Thank you so much for watching, it means a lot to me, and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. I post every Friday, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover agents of the other, beyond gravel, beyond all, a bigger scale the world inhales.
Number 1, the sound of the rain at night, especially when you're all cozy in your bed and warm. Number 2, the feeling of fresh new socks when you buy new socks and the first time that you wear them. There's nothing like that. 3, fresh bed sheets. Can you ever really beat that? That's all I have. I hope you enjoyed the video.